Good morning students, welcome you all in the class of History Civics. Today I am going to start the second chapter from our history syllabus, and that is the growth of nationalism, as well as we will know about the foundation of the Indian National Congress. So first of all, let us know about this growth of nationalism. So before starting anything, let us just know about the meaning of this term nationalism. What is meant by the term nationalism? So children, nationalism actually is a feeling of oneness, togetherness and a common consciousness among the people of a country. And during the 19th century, this development of this nationalism became an important aspect of India's historical development, when people started thinking themselves as one. Okay, and during 19th century, the people they were forced to express this feeling under just a different circumstances. Though since the very ancient time, the people of this country, they believed themselves to be the children of Mother India. But now in 19th century, this feeling was expressed under some different conditions. So what were those conditions? What were those circumstances? Let us know. So first of all, we will know about the economic conditions, okay, which forced the Indians to unite against the foreign rule, British rule. So what were the economic conditions? Let us know. Listen. So first of all, the condition of India was very poor economically. Okay, what was happening before the arrival of the Britishers? Indian villages, they were having self-sufficient economy. They were quite independent. But as the Britishers arrived here, now the villages, they became interdependent, and now a common economic life began to emerge in India, which became helpful in unifying the whole country. As the villages became interdependent, so this interdependence helped them to unite. Okay, then under the next condition, under the zamindari system, the peasants, they were left absolutely at the mercy of the landlords. These landlords used to exploit these peasants a lot. They could drive them off their lands any time whenever they were not able to pay the money. Okay, after the industrial revolution, economic factor. After the industrial revolution, these village farmers, they were forced to grow the cash crops, which were required for the British industries. Okay, and all this raw material was purchased at a very low rate. So these situations, this condition forced the Indian peasants and farmers to unite and to revolt against the Britishers. Okay, next economic factor, poor condition of handicraft. What does it mean? It means the British rule had a very damaging effect on the Indian handicraft. Means Indian handicraft had to suffer a lot due to Britishers' economic policies. What were the Britishers doing? Britishers imposed heavy duties on the Indian goods, okay, and British goods were just forced upon India. This way, Indian handicraft growing. Okay, next, there was total unemployment and underemployment. Actually, what was the problem? As the Britishers introduced the Western education here in India, so number of educated youth, now they were increasing. They wanted the jobs, but jobs were limited. And moreover, the higher jobs were reserved for the Europeans only. So what happened? This policy of the Britishers increased unemployment and forced the Indian youth to join the Indian national movement. Next factor, next economic problem, the burden of the tax was constantly increasing. Okay, heavy taxes were imposed on Indian farmers, but the government didn't just do anything for the betterment, for the welfare of the people. Because of this, the people, they were forced to unite and join the national movement. Then, next factor, poor conditions of Indian industries and workers. So what is here? The economic policies of the Britishers, they were hampering, they were just disturbing, they were interrupting the growth of Indian industry. Means the Britishers just they designed their economic policies to serve their own selfish motives. So because of this, Indian industries growth, progress was hampered, was disturbed a lot. Actually, British industrialists, they were setting up their own industries. They were not encouraging Indians to raise their industries. And Indian laborers, Indian workers, they were fully exploited. They were having no right and they were getting the low wages for their work. And cheap import of iron and steel for railway closed down the Indian iron smelting industry. So means to say, because of the Britishers' economic policies, Indian industries declining, they were getting ruined. Okay. Now next economic factor was the poor condition of the Indian traders and merchants. The condition of Indian traders and merchants was very poor. They were also having no right. They couldn't trade with the European countries as they had to export most of their raw material to the and food grains, raw cotton, opium, wheat and indigo to the Britishers, and they were also just kept away from the shipping business. And the European merchant industrialists, they had their own chambers of commerce to which Indian businessmen were not allowed to join. Okay, so Indian merchants and traders, they were also not satisfied and they were forced to join the national movement. So this was all about the economic conditions during those days, during 19th century, which forced the Indians to raise their voice against the foreign rule. Now next factor which became responsible for the growth of nationalism was repressive policies of Lord Lytton. So who was Lord Lytton? Lord Lytton, he was the Viceroy of India and his tenure was from 1876 to 1880. During his tenure, he committed the short-sighted acts and repressive policies. Okay, and because of this, the national movement was started. The Indians were forced to start the movement. They were forced to revolt against the foreign rule. So what were his policies? Let's listen. First, Vernacular Press Act. Okay. So after the revolt of 1857, the attitude of the British government towards the Indian press was changed. In 1878, Vernacular Press Act was passed, which was designed on the Irish press laws. Okay, so according to this act, now government was given extensive rights to censor the reports and editorials in vernacular press. Any news which would excite the dissatisfaction against the government, that could be cut, that could be just censored by the British government. And now the government started keeping a regular check on the vernacular newspapers. Means the Indian press freedom was curbed by this introduction of Vernacular Press Act. In which year? In 1878. And next policy, Lord Lytton, he passed the Indian Arms Act in 1878, and according to this act, now the Indians were required to keep a license for keeping, selling or purchasing the arms. Okay, and if anyone found guilty, if anyone was found without license, then he would be punished both with a fine as well as imprisonment. But on the other hand, the English, Anglo-Indians and government servants of certain categories, they were exempted from this act. Means this act was not for these people. Anglo-Indians, Britishers as well as some government servants. Okay, so there was a discrimination. Britishers were following the policy of discrimination also. So this was opposed severely by the Indians. Then the Afghan war. What happened here? Actually, in Afghanistan, to check, to stop the Russian influence, Lord Lytton waged a war. Okay, and because of this war, the huge burden on Indian economy was put. Then during 1876 to 1878, there occurred severe famines in Madras, Bombay, Hyderabad, Punjab and some part of central Madhya Pradesh. Okay, lakhs of people died and many villages they were depopulated. But Britishers, Lord Lytton's government, did nothing for them. Rather, he spent lakhs of rupees on holding the Grand Delhi Darbar just to announce Queen Victoria, the Empress of India. So this hurt the sentiments of Indians. On one hand, the people of India, they were dying of hunger. On the other hand, British government was spending this much huge amount on Grand Delhi Darbar. So the people, they were forced to join this national movement. In 1877, the maximum age limit for the civil services examination was lowered from 21 to 19. Now it became quite difficult for the Indians to complete it. And Britishers also removed the import duties on British textile, which proved harmful for the Indian industries. So these were the economic as well as the repressive policies which became responsible for the growth of nationalism. Okay, tomorrow in the live class, I will tell you about some socio-religious reform movement and as well as about the rise of middle class. Okay, till then, have a good day and watch this video well. If any problem, you can ask me tomorrow in the live class. Have a good day.